Hello again. We are going to do another little project. I'm sorry if I let a little bit of time lapse. It's kind of time consuming to try to plan this out and write out my terms and think about what I'm doing and do something that might be easy enough for some and challenging enough for others. I received some friends' artwork, some adults, and some of my previous students. Now, I teach elementary art, so K through 4, which means my stuff's pretty simple, which is what I'm aiming towards since we're in this whole coronavirus thing together. And that's what started this, so that if you needed an art fix or you needed some ideas, you could come here and get some ideas. So this is what I've been doing. And today we're going to do some 1 point perspective. When I was young, I took a little class in this and I really, really enjoyed it. So I thought I would share it with you guys. I am a little bit rusty, but I'm going to try to do one anyway. And you can just follow along. 1 point perspective is a drawing method that shows how things appear to get smaller as they get farther away towards a single point on the horizon line. So it's kind of like a vanishing point. So everything will line up with that point wherever you put it on your paper. So let me just show you the finished product so you can see what we're doing today. Okay. And here is my finished product. Well, actually, it's not finished, but it's getting there. These are buildings so that you're looking from the ground and you're looking up at them and you see the sky. So the sky goes in between the buildings, and I started that, but I didn't finish because I wanted you to just see. And I was going to do a little coloring for you so you could see my technique. I'm definitely not done. I'll go back and erase some of those pencil lines that I have in there because I definitely had some little mess ups, which you will as well, and that's perfectly fine. I don't know if you can see my vanishing point or my vanishing point. Well, yeah, see it right there? Look at all those pencil lines. So see that dot by the cloud? That is where I lined my buildings up to, and I'll show you in just a minute. And the sky, which now that I look at it close up, it's kind of messy. I need to go back in and fix it. But I'm trying to kind of whip these things out. So this is not my best coloring ever, but you do your best coloring because you can take your time. So let's start by, I am seriously doing this out of my bedroom on my bed because I have so many pets and a foster child that I fostered from my own school who love to get in the middle of my videos. And sometimes I don't have peace. So I'm in here in my room trying to make a video for you guys. Pretty pathetic, huh? So a lot of my friends don't have school supplies or don't have supplies at home. So the best way to do this, because you kind of need a ruler, and if you guys don't have a ruler, you can use any straight edge. So it could be a book, it could be a piece of paper, it could be like cardstock or like the side of a magazine or anything like that. So let me use my 1 point perspective thing that I just put this on. And if you see, I made a dot in the middle of my paper. And it might be a little off-centered, but that's okay because it doesn't matter. So all I'm going to do is just pretend like this is a ruler. If you have a ruler, use a real ruler. But I am improvising because you guys probably have to improvise. So what we're doing is you're going to line your paper up or your ruler up every time to the dot, and you're going to make a straight line. So whoops, that's not straight. It's really hard to do this. Hold my phone and then draw. So anyway, I wasn't supposed to make that from the line. So see, this is what I'm talking about. It's really hard to concentrate on what I'm doing. So basically what you would do is you would line it up. You don't want it to go to the dot because you need some sky. And when you line it up, just leave a little space. See how it comes a little wider and then it kind of gets a little smaller? Every time I do this, I have to make sure that I line it up to the dot. So then I just basically sketch along the side, and I draw a top for my building. Okay, that is crooked. I'm sorry. Like I said, these are hard times. I'm showing you what you can do to improvise. If you want to make another building right beside it, make it kind of skinny, line it up with the dot. Okay, maybe you make your line from down here and go all the way up, and maybe a little bit taller, and the line of the other building can be the other side of this building. So let me show you what I mean on my paper. So do you see how I lined, here's my dot, okay, and I lined it up here, and then for my next building I lined the paper up, and I started right here, like I have my paper here, but I left a little space, and I started here, and then I went down. And basically I don't have to draw the other side of the building, because this line right here basically makes the other side of the building, or it could be in front, could be some overlapping type thing. Okay, one in front of. So let's talk about, I am going to skip basically what you're doing when you go, when you keep going around, you just line up your paper or your ruler, which is better, but I use the paper just to show you it can be done. You line your paper up with the dot, and you make your buildings kind of skinny, and of course they're going to be wider at the bottom, because that's the whole idea of this 1-point perspective. And then you keep going. Let me show you how I made the sides of some of my buildings. So I knew they needed to be skinnier because this is basically the side of the building. So I lined my paper up with my dot, right? And I went a little bit lower than the top of my building, like about right here. And I did a little skinny space. So it's not as wide as the front of the building. Now, when you make the side of the building, you are going to, can y'all see this? It's basically going to come down like this at an angle to look like it goes away. Okay, so do you see this one right here? This is the side of a building. You don't have to draw the sides for a bunch of them, but I did them for some of them just to have some little character features and just make it look a little more three-dimensional. So there's one for this one right here. And then for the windows, they get wider too. And whatever angle you do, like say you do, I'm going to turn this around. This building right here, kind of interesting, just looks like lines. So I messed up a little bit because, you know, that's what happens. But if you're doing, that's not a good one. I don't like that one. That one's not right. So, okay, this is a good one right here. So see how this is angled down, this side of the building? It should be angled down a little bit more. But whatever the angle is here, your lines of the building on the side have to be the same. So they're going to slant the same way as this one up here at the top. These are straight because this is the front of the building, okay? So don't forget that. So what I mean by that is, let me go back to my paper that I was drawing on. That, okay, this is the ugliest building. Holy cow. Okay, so I'm just trying to fix that mess up right there. This is the front. So if you had a side, it would angle down, and of course you're going to line it up to this point, and you're going to make the side, okay? But if you were, I'm doing this on the camera, so please excuse me. Anyway, so if you were going to make something on the side, they have to angle just like this one does. This one's straight, so that these lines, and if you want to connect it, they would go straight here, and they would angle down right here. There's not a lot of space because this is the side of the building, so I think I made it too wide, and I'm not using my little guide. But do you see what I'm saying? So in other words, here we go. Let's do this again. So here's the front, and I should be using a ruler or something, but I'm just trying to show you. Okay, and it's super hard to draw on the camera when I'm looking through my phone, because that's how I'm doing these. You got to make sure it angles. So I feel like that angle's not enough, but do you see how it kind of curves around? So anyway, when we come back to this, this as like a series of buildings, and they're all lined up with that dot right there in the middle. Now, you don't want your dot dark like mine, because I did it dark so you could see what was going on, but you don't want that dark dot on there. So you just make it with a pencil. And then after that, I was going to outline my buildings, which I did with a black marker or a Sharpie. But be very careful with Sharpies, because I don't know what surface you're working on. But yesterday, my foster kiddo was working on my coffee table with a marker, and I freaked out. So just I told him to transfer himself to his glass desk, basically. So just be really careful. If you're not sure and you think your mom is going to freak out and you won't be alive tomorrow because you used a Sharpie on her furniture and you accidentally got it on there, then maybe you should use washable marker, because that's always the safe bet. Right? Right. Okay. So anyway, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. So after you make all your buildings and they line up and they go around in this little radial type thing, you can add clouds. If your paper is white, which I'm sure it is, just leave them, because clouds are white. Sometimes we get confused, and I have clouds that are blue and sky that is white, but that's like a pet peeve of mine. So I talk to my kids a lot about that, and the horizon line, because they want to put grass at the bottom of their paper and a white strip in the middle and blue sky at the top. And we have that big discussion about horizon line all the time. So anyway, I started to color so you could see, and I blended. I did darker blue at the bottom, and I did lighter blue in the middle at the top of the sky. And I used oil pastels, and I put white on top and kind of colored in a circular motion to make the sky look soft. Okay, because that's kind of what it is. It's kind of soft. Has like a fluffy look to it. So I did that to blend them, because oil pastels blend really well. But most of you probably don't have oil pastels. So this will work with crayon. Like, I would outline the buildings first with your marker. Go in, put your windows, your designs, whatever you want to do. They don't have to be like mine. You can have a little sign on your building. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could put, I don't even know what you could put. You could put definitely signs. But I drew my little clouds, and you could use a crayon and use darker at the bottom, kind of like what I did, and just kind of blend it in. So see how this is uneven right here? See how I made this uneven? I would go and put a darker blue and kind of blend it right on top of this to give it that, sky type of look. But anyway, it's really cool. It's 1 point perspective, and you're basically lining your ruler up every time to the dot. And if you didn't see that, I'm going to go over that one more time. So basically, when I did this, I lined it up to the dot. Do you see my paper? And I started a little bit lower. So I started making my line all the way to the end of my paper. And then for the other side of the building, of course, I still lined it up to the dot. It's going to be not rectangular. Well, it is going to be rectangular shape, but it's going to be triangular shape. A long triangle. So you see how it gets... You really have to look at it. If it's too wide like this, then it's not going to be right. So make sure your building looks right. So I lined it up to the dot. I drew my line, drew the top of my building, and then I started to add details. So this is a pretty cool little project. And I hope that you try it, and you're trying some of the other videos. I will put a little simple one, which is basically monkey see, monkey do, because some people just like to draw and have an outcome right away. So I will do a little simple one probably later today, maybe tomorrow morning. But thank you for watching my videos, and thank you to my friends who have showed me their artwork. Like, I could not believe I had a former teacher friend who doesn't work at my school anymore show me one of her pictures that she did with me, which I thought was pretty cool. And one of my former students sent me her picture, and she doesn't even go to my elementary school anymore. So it's kind of cool that, this is reaching more people than I thought. So anyway, that's it for today, and thanks.